There is a shallow wooden tray sitting on the floor of my basement right now. It holds about 2 inches of a soft white powder that I mixed with water this morning until it looked like skim milk, then brushed across the stone walls with a wide, flat brush. The walls are damp. They have been damp for 100 years. Holmes County, Ohio gets wet springs and wet falls and the kind of summer humidity that settles into old stone and never fully leaves. And yet there is not a single black spot on those walls. Not one. There has not been one in the entire time my family has lived in this house. The powder costs $8 for a bag large enough to treat every damp surface in a standard house twice over. It has been sitting on the shelf at the farm store your whole life. Nobody told you it was there. My name is Levi Troyer. I am Amish. I farm 61 acres in Holmes County, Ohio, the same land my great-grandfather broke from timber in 1889. I have never paid a remediation company. I have never owned a dehumidifier. I have never bought a bottle of mold spray, not once, not in my entire life. But I know what it costs you, because my neighbor Daniel, English fellow, good man, moved into a house 2 miles down the road about 6 years ago. He called me one April morning and asked if I could come look at something. I followed him down to his basement. The smell hit me at the top of the stairs. That particular smell, part earth, part something sour and alive. That smell that has been living in your basement or your bathroom or the back of your closet for longer than you want to admit. He pointed at the wall. Black streaks running up from the floor. Gray patches blooming across the ceiling. He had already spent $60 on spray bottles that turned the spots gray for 3 weeks before they came back darker than before. The remediation company came the following week. The man walked the basement with a moisture meter and a clipboard. He used the word mold the way doctors use certain words, low, serious, with a pause before it. And the estimate he left on Daniel's kitchen table was $1,400, with a note at the bottom recommending a dehumidifier. $340 plus a filter cartridge every 90 days at $22 each. Every year, forever. Because the company that sold him the solution had also sold him the subscription. Daniel is not a careless man. He is not foolish. He just was never told what his grandfather's generation knew without thinking about it. And what they knew is what I am going to show you today for less than the cost of one professional spray treatment, using 3 things you can carry home from the farm store in a single paper bag. Stay with me. Before I show you the tools, I need you to understand what you are actually fighting, because most people spend years fighting the wrong thing. They see the black spots and they fight the mold. They spray it, scrub it, paint over it. It comes back every time, because the mold is not the problem. The mold is what shows up after the problem has already been there for months. It is the flag, not the fire. Mold needs 3 things to live: a food source, the wood and grout and drywall your house is made of, a temperature it can tolerate, which covers most of the year in most of the country, and moisture. That is the one leg you can kick out. Take away the moisture and the mold has nowhere to go. It cannot eat. It cannot grow. It leaves. Now here is the part that cost Daniel $1,400 to learn. There are 2 kinds of moisture in a house. There is liquid water, a leak, a flood, a pipe. Everyone understands that one. But the moisture that feeds most household mold is not liquid. It is vapor. It floats in the air, invisible, until it finds a cool surface and condenses there, and then the mold finds it. My grandfather never took a class in humidity physics. He could not have told you what relative humidity meant, but he knew, the way a man who works the land knows things, through watching, through seasons, through the quiet observation of what happens when you pay attention. He knew that the wet came first and the mold came second, and he knew exactly what to do about the wet. He taught me when I was a boy. I am going to teach you now. The first thing is slaked lime. Hydrated lime, some places call it. You will find it at any masonry supply, any farm store, any hardware store that still sells things in paper bags. A 50-pound bag costs $8 to $14. My great-grandfather used it on the stone walls of this basement. His father used it before him. The Pennsylvania Germans brought this knowledge from the Rhineland when they came across in the 1700s. Before them, it goes further than anyone can trace. The Romans plastered their cisterns with it. The Greeks used it in their wine cellars. Builders in the ancient Near East sealed their grain stores with a whitewash of it to keep the harvest from ruining in the damp. This is not a new idea. It is one of the oldest ideas in the world. It just stopped being taught somewhere around the time someone decided to sell you a spray bottle instead. Here is why it works, and this part matters, so stay with me. When you mix slaked lime with water and brush it onto a masonry wall, stone, brick, concrete block, even bare earth, it raises the pH of that surface dramatically. Mold spores need a pH between 4 and 7 to survive. Lime pushes the surface to pH 12, sometimes 13. It does not poison the mold exactly. It makes the wall a place where mold chemically cannot exist. The biology simply does not permit it, but that is only part of what lime does. The other part is what my grandfather called breathing. Lime is hygroscopic. It pulls moisture out of the air and out of the wall surface, and then releases it slowly when the air dries out. It participates in the moisture cycle of the room. It does not trap damp behind it the way a vapor barrier does. It breathes with the space. This is the exact opposite of what your contractor's plastic sheeting does. That vapor barrier traps moisture between itself and the masonry in the dark, where nothing can dry and everything can grow. The lime breathes, the plastic traps. One of them has been working in farming communities for centuries. The other has a 40-year track record of mold complaints. And third, lime kills. It has a mild antimicrobial property that has made it the standard whitewash of barns, chicken coops, dairy parlors, and root cellars for as long as farming people have needed to keep their stored food clean and their animals healthy. It kills bacteria and fungal spores on contact, and the alkalinity left behind keeps killing long after the brush has dried. Here is how to make it. Take a 5-gallon bucket. Fill it 2/3 with clean water, cold or room temperature. Add slaked lime slowly while you stir. What you are looking for is skim milk. Not cream, not paint. Skim milk. Too thick and it flakes within a year. Thin enough to see your hand through it, and it soaks into the masonry and bonds with the stone itself. My grandmother's sister, who kept the most immaculate root cellar in our entire district, added a handful of coarse salt to each bucket. She said her mother taught her and her mother's mother before that. The salt hardens the lime as it cures and helps it grip damp stone. I still do it. A handful of common salt or coarse pickling salt per bucket. It costs nothing. Apply it with a wide masonry brush, 4 or 6 inches, in long, sweeping strokes. Do not worry about streaks on the first coat. Lime dries lighter than it goes on, and the second coat evens everything out. 2 coats in a bathroom, 3 in a basement with a real moisture history. Let each coat go just barely dry before the next. A few hours in warm weather, longer in a cold cellar. Do not rush it. After a week of curing, press your hand against that wall. It will feel different, drier, more solid, like the wall has decided to stop being a sponge and start being a wall again. That is the chemistry working. You have changed the surface permanently. $8 of material, 1 afternoon of work. The second thing is something my grandmother kept in the corner of the root cellar, the corner of the meat cellar, and behind the coats in the mudroom closet. Not because anyone told her to, because her mother did, and her mother's mother, going all the way back through the generations of farm women who figured out, without any instruction, what kept the stores sweet and the clothes dry. It is hardwood charcoal, plain lump charcoal, the kind made from burning wood slowly in a low-oxygen fire. Not the pressed briquettes you grill with. Lump charcoal in a cloth bag, a burlap sack, an old pillowcase, a cotton flour sack, anything that breathes. I know what you are thinking. You are thinking about the $400 air purifier your neighbor has running in his bedroom, the one with the filter that needs replacing 4 times a year. I want you to know what is inside that machine doing the actual work. It is charcoal. The same charcoal. They put it in a plastic housing, give it a brand name, and sell you a fresh one every 3 months. You can buy the same material in a bag at the garden store for $2 and hang it in a cloth sack in the corner of your bathroom, and it will do the same job. And when it fills up, you set it in the sun for a day, and it is ready again. Here is why it works. Charcoal is the most porous substance you will ever hold in your hand. A small chunk of it, if you could unfold every microscopic tunnel and channel inside it and lay them flat, would cover an area larger than this room. It is riddled through with tiny passages, and those passages are hungry. They pull moisture and odor molecules out of the air and hold them. The technical word is adsorption, with a D, different from absorb. And it is the same principle that has been used in water filters and grain stores and the corners of root cellars for as long as people have been keeping things dry. A 2-pound bag in a small bathroom hung near the ceiling where the warm, humid air collects will pull the moisture down measurably within a day. A 10-pound bag in each corner of a basement makes a difference you can smell within a week. A 5-pound bag on the floor of a closet with the door cracked an inch so air moves will change the smell of that closet within 3 days. My wife once found the bag I had hung behind her good coats in the upstairs closet. She held it up and looked at me. I told her what it was doing. She put it back. That was 12 years ago. It is still there. The only upkeep, every month or two, take the bags outside on a sunny day, open them and spread the charcoal on a tray. Leave it in full sun for a day. The heat drives the captured moisture and compounds back out, the same way a long baking drives moisture out of wood. Bag it back up. One bag, maintained this way, lasts years. The filter cartridge for the electric unit goes in the trash. The third thing has been in household management manuals since before the Civil War. My aunt kept a Mennonite housekeeping guide printed in Lancaster County in 1887, and she used it until the binding came apart. It recommended placing a wide, shallow bowl of this material on the floor of any damp room, under any leaking windowsill, in any pantry showing moisture. The material is rock salt. Coarse rock salt. Water softener salt, some stores call it. 40 pounds for $5 or $6 at any hardware store. Salt does not just absorb moisture, it hunts it. In a closed or semi-closed space, it will pull water vapor out of the air and into itself with a persistence that no other passive material can match, more than silica gel packets, more than baking soda, more than anything sold in a fancy box at the hardware store. Take a wide, shallow container, a clay dish, a wooden tray, a metal baking pan. Pour rock salt in 2 or 3 inches deep. Width matters more than depth. You want as much salt surface touching air as possible. Set it on the bathroom floor, in the basement corner, under the kitchen sink, at the base of the problem wall. Check it in a week. If the salt has clumped and feels damp, it has been working. That moisture was in your air. You were breathing it every day. Now the salt has it. Spread it on a tray and dry it. Low oven for an hour or a full day in the sun. Return it to the dish. The same salt doing the same job forever. One placement most people miss. Set a dish on top of the toilet tank. The cold porcelain sweats condensation all day long and feeds humidity into the bathroom air constantly. One dish of salt on that tank cuts the ceiling moisture problem in most bathrooms in half. I have watched it happen in Daniel's bathroom and in 3 others since. Now, I want to say something about the air itself, because it is the thing that costs nothing and does more than all 3 of these tools combined, and most people skip it entirely. Every house breathes, or it should. Moving air does not hold moisture. Still air does. A standing pool of water breathes life. A running stream does not. The farmhouses my people build are designed around this. Air moves through the foundation, through the walls, through the attic. The house participates in the day. It opens in the morning and closes in the evening, the same rhythm as the barn, the same rhythm as the fields. The modern habit of sealing every gap, foaming every crack, wrapping every wall in plastic. It creates a house that cannot breathe. And then all the moisture that every person in that house produces, breathing, cooking, bathing, existing, has nowhere to go. So it finds the coldest surface, and it condenses there, and the mold finds it. Before you spend $1 on any of these tools, walk through your house and find every window that has not been opened in a year. Open it. Find every exhaust fan that has been broken for 2 tenants. Fix it. Find every vent someone painted shut because it looked untidy. Unseal it. These things cost nothing. They change the moisture balance of your house more than any product I could name. The lime and the charcoal and the salt are the last layer on top of a foundation of moving air. Without the air, they help. With the air, they transform. Now let me walk you through the whole thing in order, the way I would walk a young man through it on the first warm morning of spring. Start by walking every room that has ever given you a damp smell or a dark spot. Walk slowly. Bend down and smell the baseboard. Press your palm flat against the wall in each corner and hold it there. Not a quick touch. Hold it. If the wall feels subtly cool and damp under your hand, like the underside of a leaf in the morning, you have found a moisture surface. Mark it with a piece of tape. Walk the basement. Walk the bathroom. Walk the back of every closet. Check every window and door seal by pressing a thin piece of paper against it with the door closed. If the paper pulls free easily, warm, moist air has been moving through that gap every summer for years. A strip of weather stripping, a few cents, fixes it. That same afternoon, mix your lime wash. 1 part slaked lime to 5 parts water. Handful of salt. Stir until it looks like skim milk. Take your wide brush and coat every marked surface. Basement walls, bathroom ceiling, closet corners, anywhere the tape is. Long, confident strokes. You are not painting. You are changing the chemistry of the surface. Let the first coat go barely dry to the touch. While it dries, fill your charcoal bags. Loosely, not packed tight, so the air can move through the charcoal. Burlap if you have it. Tie them shut. Next morning, apply the second coat of lime wash. The surface has already changed under the first coat. Slightly chalky, slightly brighter, more mineral when you press your hand against it. That is the lime bonding with the stone. While the second coat dries, hang the charcoal bags, near the ceiling in the bathroom, in the basement corners, behind the coats in the closet, under the kitchen sink. Each one begins pulling immediately. That same day, set your salt trays. Bathroom floor, toilet tank, basement perimeter, under the sink, anywhere your hand found damp that first morning. 2 days, most of it 1 day. The lime costs $8 to $15, the charcoal $10 to $15, the salt $5 or $6, $35 at the outside. Less than 2 bottles of spray that will not fix anything. After that, maintain it. Check the charcoal bags once a month. If the cloth feels heavy, sun them for a day and return them. Check the salt trays once a week at first. When they clump, dry them and put them back. The lime wash asks nothing of you. In 2 or 3 years, a fresh coat is a good idea, but even an old lime wall is still doing its work. That is the whole system. It is not complicated. It is not new. It is older than every house on your street. I want to take a moment here because this is the part that matters more than any of the practical steps. When Daniel paid $1,400 to that remediation company, he was not being careless. He was being a normal person in a world that had quietly removed every other option from his awareness. Nobody sells slaked lime on television. There is no profit in a $2 charcoal bag that lasts 3 years. The knowledge of rock salt trays died when the generation that used them died, and it was not replaced by anything because there was nothing to sell in its place. We talk in our community about what we call plain living. Outsiders hear that phrase, and they think it means refusing things. It does not. It means living in a way where you understand what you depend on, where the systems between you and your family's comfort are ones you can see and fix and manage with your own hands. where when the house has a problem, you are the person who solves it, not the man with the clipboard. The mold on your bathroom ceiling is not your failure. It is the predictable result of a system designed to keep you dependent. The vapor barrier that traps moisture instead of letting walls breathe. The sealed attic that cannot exhaust the heat. The spray bottle that treats symptoms while the cause goes untouched. Each of those things was sold to you by someone who benefits from selling you the next one. My great-great-grandmother kept a stone house in a wet valley for 50 years with no machinery, no contract, no service truck pulling up the lane. She kept it because she understood it. She knew what the walls needed before they showed her a problem. She understood her house the way a farmer understands soil. Not through a report, but through attention and time and the knowledge passed from hand to hand across generations. That knowledge is not gone. It is just quiet. Quiet because quiet does not sell. The expensive version shouts. The $8 bag of lime sits on the shelf and waits for someone to remember it is there. You were not told about the lime. You were given a spray bottle instead. There is a difference between those two things that goes well beyond mold control, and I think you already feel it, or you would not be here. So here is what I want you to do this week. Go into your bathroom and press your palm flat against the wall. Hold it there, cold and slightly damp. Note that. Go into your basement and breathe. Not a polite sniff, a full breath. What does the air smell like? If there is something faintly sour in it, that is humidity looking for a surface. Note that too. Then go to the farm store and ask for slaked lime, lump charcoal, and coarse rock salt. You will spend less than $35. You will carry home everything you need. And come back here and tell me in the comments, what room in your house has been fighting you the longest? What corner has never quite dried out, no matter what you sprayed or scrubbed? Tell me what state you are in, how old your house is, and what you find when you press your hand against that wall. I read every one of these. The people who come back to say what happened over the following weeks. Those stories teach the new folks more than I ever could. Next time, I am going to show you something that has been sitting under your feet your entire life, without you knowing it was working for you. The ground beneath a house holds a steady temperature year-round, in January and in August both, that your grandparents used every single day and that modern construction has completely sealed away from you. What they built to use it cost almost nothing and lasted generations. The fact that it has been buried and forgotten is one of the more quietly outrageous things I know. Subscribe. Do not miss it. Until then, press your hand against that wall. Trust what you find. And remember, the people who built this country with their hands knew things we are only just beginning to remember.